Hello and welcome to episode 257 of the official GonnaGeek.com show. This week, we talk about how there's a bunch of MoviePass problems, how there's iPhone XS problems, but there are no space problems. Plus, Chris taps that app again. This and more in this week's show.
I'm Jeannie.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Nikki from Tyrion's Landing,
A podcast member of the Gonna Geek Network.
Just like the one you're listening to now.
The opinions expressed are those of each individual.
Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
And get ready, because geekiness begins in
3,
2,
1.
This is the official GonnaGeek.com show. Here we're a bunch of geeks talking about geeky things. Each week we run down the latest news and happenings in the world of geek. These are your hosts for the show, Steven.
But what if I'm in the mood for a T-Swift story?
Chris.
I've heard the X is going to give it to you.
And SP.
That's how we roll on Gonna Geek on Monday night. We get crazy!
Gonna Geek Productions presents the official GonnaGeek.com show.
Welcome to an all-new episode of the official GonnaGeek.com show. I am Stephen John Drew, and with me, of course, is Chris Farrell.
And I don't have to run the damn board this week, so thank you, baby Jesus.
We also have joining us, of course, first time on the show, Stargate Pioneer.
First time.
Long time listener, long time watcher, first time caller. Thank you so much for having me on the show tonight. I have a ton of stuff to talk about. The first thing that we're going to talk about is the lesser known fish that can be found in the Indian Ocean.
Whoa, that's very interesting. Almost as interesting as me segueing to the news, because that sounds not interesting at all. But before we get there, I want to go... I'm just joking. Before we get there, by the way, I want to mention that we're part of the Gonna Geek Network. The Gonna Geek Network has a bunch of amazing geeky content, a lot of amazing geeky podcasters on the network, some of which we may... Well, one of which we may call out a little bit later. But if you want to be a part of the network and you have yourself a podcast, please head on over to GonnaGeek.com/join. We do have an application process, and we would love to hear from you. We would love it. Like, we would actually go and write a song that is like sort of in sync pop. Bye, bye, bye. Love to you for some reason.
Wait, what? We're gonna... Oh, okay. Steven's gonna write the song, and I'm going to sit back and smile and do hand gestures. We're going to leave it all in his hands.
Absolutely.
Remember, the Gonna Geek episode, Steven's baby. He's the best at this stuff. So we're going to trust him with this new song coming direct from Gonna Geek Music Studios.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and play it right now. All right, this first news article here is one that brought a lot of people joy this past week. And by joy, I mean stress. And by stress, I mean they didn't really care, because it's just another day in the world of Facebook. That's right, Facebook had another security problem. I know what you're saying to yourself. So you're saying, Steven, I have never had a security problem before, to which I say, no, that's not true. You just didn't know about said security problem. So
That's fair. That's fair.
So last week, Facebook did announce that there was 50 million accounts that were compromised due to a security problem. This was discovered apparently on September 25th, and the flaw comes from access tokens that allow users, of course, to remain logged in without having to enter the password every single time. Now, apparently, the security token problem stemmed from the, quote, view as feature. That's right. If you have ever explored the world of Facebook, you might have seen that there was a option to view as, basically look at your profile from someone else's point of view, i.e. could they see the stuff that you're hoping that you had locked down, like your boss. And I'm talking about having your boss locked down. Hi-oh! But anyways, no, this came from this view as feature, and apparently the bug has been patched, but they did confirm 50 million accounts were determined to have been compromised. Now, here's the fun part. is there was 50 million accounts compromised. But they also, in addition to that, kicked a bunch of access tokens for 40 million additional users because they had, of course, seen that those accounts had used the quote view as feature in the last year. So possibly were compromised, just not confirmed. So a whopping total of 90 million users possibly affected by this.
So, Steven, how do I know if I was affected by this?
In theory, if you were affected, you would have been booted from your logged in session. So when you went to log in, you would have had to re-enter your password. And some people are saying that they were indeed kicked out. So if that was you, that's what happened. And you should probably think about checking over your stuff, seeing if anything looks weird. In theory, from what I understand, because it was an access token, the password reset is not necessary, but it was probably a good idea anyways, because the access token itself is a supplement for the password. Now, what I would say that you should pay attention to is, though, if you ever logged into any third-party sites through your Facebook, you know how you sometimes go to websites and it says, hey, guess what? You can sign in using your Facebook. Yeah, well, if that happened, you probably want to go ahead and figure out whether or not you were hacked, because in theory, they could have got into those third-party sites through that login.
So why I asked you that is because one of the articles I had read said Facebook was supposed to notify you with a notification that showed up in your feed. Yeah, I never got one, but I sure as heck got logged out of a bunch of Facebook sessions on my phone, on my tablet, on my PC. I was never notified, but I was forced out.
Well, was the notification, though, for an actual hack on the passwords? Maybe that's why they thought that technicality could get them out of it. If it was just the tokens, it's not the passwords.
Yeah, that's a good, I don't know. Yeah, there was supposed to be a notification as well. When you logged in at the top, there was definitely supposed to be.
I never received one, but folks, this is a good time to review security postures on things. When things like this happen, go take a look, make sure you're not reusing the same passwords, and turn on two-factor authentication in as many places as you can. Facebook's one of the places I've got it turned on, Twitter, Instagram, things like that. Two-factor's not a blanket, you'll be safe from everything, but it sure helps, because if someone tries to get in, then you'll at least get a text message that says someone requested a token, and you go, what the heck? Because I've had it happen on my Gmail before, where people have logged in and just hammered it or something and requested a token. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I will say that I also really enjoy the services where you can enable the notifications when you get logged in, like by text message. That's a nice safety fallback.
Yep, I have that turned on for a bunch of stuff too. So just review your security posture.
I'll say that as much as Steven enjoys when stuff happens with Apple, I enjoy when stuff happens to Facebook, because there's no love lost between the SP and the Facebook.
That's fair.
That was what causes the Rebel to come out, and the Rebel
are we gonna
is
get the Rebel?
sipping his scotch with his sunglasses on, just enjoying the fright that is becoming the Facebook security department right now.
I'll tell you, Facebook, when I've had enough of you. I think that's a direct quote from the Rebel. I think.
Can we have the Rebel meet Andrew Dice Clay and see what happens?
All right, well, moving on to the next news point here. You know who has lost a lot of love, and from Chris Farrell, is MoviePass. What's going on here, Chris?
That's right. So remember back 6-9 months ago, I was a big proponent of the MoviePass service. It was a service here in the United States where you could basically pay $9.99 a month and consume unlimited movies. And I was a big proponent. I pushed a lot of people towards it because I said it's a great deal until it goes away, so enjoy it. And I want to say probably about 2 or 3 months ago, everything went sour, and I came on here and aired my grievances, I guess would be the best way to put it, and kind of advise people, maybe you should back away from MoviePass. And maybe you hadn't done it right away. Maybe you did it recently. Maybe you were thinking about it. Yeah, MoviePass is back into doing some shady stuff again. And I'm not saying this to hammer them per se, but more to warn you what's going on so that if you've been a recent MoviePass subscriber, you can check your email. They have a new attempt to try and win back customers, and it's upsetting a little bit of people. Over the weekend, lapsed MoviePass subscribers who'd opted out of the service's 3 movies for $10 a month plan, I was one of them, are discovering that this did not cancel their account after all. On the contrary, their accounts are now being reactivated with a new kind of unlimited plan. How did I find out about this? Well, on Twitter, I saw a tweet shared by New York Magazine's associate editor Brian Feldman, who shared an email he received on Friday from MoviePass, noting that he thought his subscription was going to end. Instead, he got an email saying he's been opted into a new plan and he can choose to opt out by Thursday, October 4th at 9 a.m. Eastern. So the contents of this email, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there's 2 sentences or a paragraph and a half that's important. They basically opt everyone back in and say, if you decide you do not want this, you must opt out before Thursday. To be clear, unless you opt out, your unlimited subscription will be restored and you will begin enjoying unlimited movies again, up to 1 movie per day based on existing inventory at $9.95 a month, and your credit card on file will be charged on a monthly basis. Guys, this is not good. This is the kind of thing that we hate all the time when it's like, you've got to opt out. I want to opt into things. That's how it should be. But this is even more egregious. If you're not paying attention to your email, or you're like me and all your MoviePass emails go to a junk folder, you're potentially signed back up for a service and you go, wait, what is going on here? You're charging me for a service I no longer want. This is a little bit of BS, guys. And here's where it gets even more fun. MoviePass confirmed this offer on Monday, stating it's a promotion that will return affected customers to the terms they initially signed up for, specifically the 1 movie title per day based on existing inventory. No. We left because you added this whole existing inventory provision, meaning I can't go to the theater and view whatever I want. I can only view whatever they have allocated tickets for that day. So go back to when Ant-Man and the Wasp came out, for instance. If they'd only allocated 20 tickets to my region and I showed up at my local theater, I'd get a notice that, there's no more tickets. So I couldn't actually watch what I want when I want. That's fine. You can change things like that. But don't do shady things like this, like opt me back into things when I have canceled my account or changed my plan to basically, in effect, shut it down. This is shady. It's very shady. If you were ever a customer of MoviePass, go and check your email right now, see if there's anything on here, and go and opt out of this. It's super shady. I wish I knew the right way to report this, like the Better Business Bureau or something like this, because there is no way that a company that is financially stable that wants my business should opt me back into something and send me an email that says, you can opt out if you want. No.
Yeah.
I was out. You don't bring me back in. You don't sign me back up again. And this is another reason why you maybe don't want to use your main credit card for a lot of these things, because you can always just cancel it or report it stolen and get new numbers, something like that. But shady, super shady.
So you would think that I would be against this, but did you know, by the way, that the official GonnaGeek.com show actually now is a subscription model? And so everybody who doesn't want to pay $1,000 for this episode, you got to stop right now with this second. Oh, it's too late. Too late. Now you owe me $1,000. Ah, darn.
It's only $1,000 Canadian. That's like 3 cents American. So everybody's fine.
Good point, SP. Good point. I'm in for this then, Steven. I'm in.
Joking aside, this is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I cannot believe that they are getting away with this. And it's not going to be long before they're going to be probably blocked from merchant processing services, because the fact that everybody's going to report this as fraud, right? Like, and if the terms of service that they originally signed up for with the credit card doesn't specifically say that they could go and do this, I don't see how it wouldn't be considered a fraudulent credit card charge. Now, I'm not part of the financial institution, so I know nothing about that. Don't take this as legal advice, but I've seen enough credit card companies err with the consumer, right? Like on the side of the consumer. I just see a whole bunch of chargebacks happening.
Oh yeah. Everyone should do stuff like that. I just checked my email while Steven was talking, because I read this article and then I promptly did not check my own email. I have received no emails from MoviePass since August, so I appear to be safe. So if you were August or earlier, that might be a breaking point you can look at. But regardless, check your email. Make sure you didn't get opted into this stuff. And if you did, feel free to cancel it on there. Go to the Better Business Bureau, the state attorney general like Suncast is throwing in there, or blow them up on Twitter and be like, hey, this is horse crap. You should have never done this to me. I never wanted this. I will never send people back your way again. I will be honest. Were the service something viable again that would interest me, I won't do it because of shady business practices like this.
I don't know, Chris. The message clearly states, to be clear, unless you opt out. So unless you've opted out, no matter if you've received an email or not, I'll bet you get a charge on your credit card on Friday.
I don't want to try and log into it again because I'm afraid it will reactivate it back to a point where they can do that.
They get you both ways, don't they?
Yeah. I don't want to get it either way. So if I do see a charge on there, you can be sure I'll be protesting that charge.
Time out. So if you actually get a charge on your card Friday morning, you gonna go to the movie theater Friday night and you're gonna try to use it?
No, because I shredded the card. I put the card in the paper shredder when I canceled the plan, so I don't even have it anymore. I will promptly call my credit card company and I'll be like, hey, this charge is bogus. It's a service I no longer use and I canceled months ago. Protest it.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that. And I genuinely think that the more people who deal with this outside of MoviePass, the better it is. Get the financial companies involved, right? Like get them involved because they will create a problem. If you don't have all of these companies getting chargebacks and not creating a problem for MoviePass. So I totally agree. I think that's a good way to go. In any case, if you are a MoviePass past customer, make sure that you do pass on this next service.
Oh.
Next up in the news, well, by the way, I took the day off to write that segue, the entire day.
It shows. It was pretty polished and smooth and only lightly corny.
Yeah. The appropriate amount of Canadian corn and maple syrup all rolled together.
It tastes like Fritos.
All right, well, moving on to the next news point here. Well, it's kind of a couple of news points, isn't it, SB?
Sure is. We're going to go into depth in one and the other is just a mention. So the in-depth is basically the commercial space crew providers now believe they meet NASA safety requirements. This was a big thing holding them back. What are we talking about? We're talking about the SpaceX Crew Dragon and the Boeing CST-100 Starliner. So they have been struggling to meet safety thresholds that have been established by NASA for these commercial manned vehicles, and they now believe that their vehicles can meet the requirements as they prepare for the test flights scheduled in the next several months. Now, this was a key issue in the development of both the Starliner and the Crew Dragon, and it deals with the loss of crew requirement, which is basically a measure of the probability of death or permanent disability of one or more people on a spacecraft during a mission. And the probability, by the way, is 1 in 270. That is the probability of death or permanent disability. Whoa, that is quite substantial there. And that's the probability that they have to design for, by the way, not the actual probabilities of these things being successful. So the two companies, Boeing and SpaceX, has faced problems meeting that requirement, and it is significantly more stringent than that of the space shuttle when it was flying. So the two companies discussed this during a panel at the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. It's a AIAA organization, and it had a space forum in Orlando on September 18th. Executives of the two companies said that they now believe their vehicles meet that requirement and related safety requirements. Now, hold on. Kathy Luters, who is the National Commercial Crew Program Manager, did not confirm that the companies have in fact met those safety requirements. She said, "We're learning from a NASA perspective about how to understand the assessments that we're getting from each of the contractors and then how to apply it. We at the NASA team are assessing the modeling that each of those providers has done." She cautioned about using the loss of crew figure as the sole figure of merit of the safety of either vehicle. And she stated, "I sometimes struggle when people say that the loss of crew number is the safety number. I don't believe that's true." So obviously there's a bunch of safety numbers with these things that the companies have to meet. So by the way, those safety assessments come as test flights for both companies' vehicles are approaching. We talked about the updated schedules that were released in NASA in early August that basically said that SpaceX planned to perform an unmanned test flight in November of 2018, followed by a manned flight in April 2019. Boeing, on its part, would perform an unmanned test flight late this year in 2018 or early next year with a manned flight in mid-2019. However, the SpaceX chief executive, Elon Musk, and yes, he's still the CEO, hinted at a slight delay in his company's schedule during the September 17th announcement of the company's plans to fly a Japanese billionaire group of artists around the moon, which we talked about last episode. He said at that time, quote, "We're hoping to do a test flight of Dragon 2 in December and then a manned flight next year, hopefully in the second quarter of next year." So basically, he has shifted the expectation for those test flights a month delay. There has been no confirmation either way after his announcement. A couple other things that happened at this panel. So the panel discussion also addressed plans by both companies to reuse their manned vehicles. And that is something that we haven't really talked about in depth, but we will get into in the future about their plans. They're basically not planning on reusing a capsule for a while, and they're going to stock up their capsules as they come back, and as they refurbish them, they'll eventually throw one into the rotation. Another thing is that a key foundation of both commercial crew programs is that NASA is not going to be the only customer for these vehicles. Once the companies then develop them, they're free to go out for other customers, thus spreading out the costs. And both Boeing and SpaceX said they're optimistic about the non-NASA demand for both those vehicles. So guys, this is the latest update in our attempt in America to get back to manned space flight. Though this is commercial, it's not through NASA. What do you guys think about this latest safety update?
I remember when the commercial crew program manager was co-hosting a show with Regis Philbin. You said it was Kathy Lee Griffin? Is that what you said?
That's exactly what I said.
Okay.
Her name is Kathy Luters.
Oh.
And you're talking about Kathy Lee Gifford.
Well, now I'm not interested.
Of course
I'm
you're not.
shocked.
You might be interested in this, though. It's basically the Colorado School of Mines is now offering the world's first degree programs in space resources, which is essentially space mining. Yes, mining in outer space. We were talking about asteroid mining for quite some time. And
does Bruce Willis teach a course?
Of course he was brought in. You know, all of his experience in Armageddon really came through here. So yes, the School of Mines campus, by the way, is largely in Golden, Colorado, although I think it is a remote campus. And it is led by Professor Angel Abdul Madrid, who's the director. And he has a note of caution. He admits that the industry is in its infancy, and he warns prospective students to keep that in mind when searching out this degree.
I gotta say that this this whole thing definitely takes away from your concept that you discussed last week on the show in episode 256, available at www.geeks.link/256, of podcasting in space. Because I don't understand like how miming would translate to a podcast very well. You said that it was the School of Mines? No?
So funny enough, I had lunch with a couple of coworkers and they said the same thing to me. So it's a real knee slapper there, buddy. But this is interesting because we are now talking not only of a company that's based in Seattle, Planetary Resources. Now there's a degree to go along with this. Eventually it's going to happen. There's a lot of great resources that are out in space, a lot of precious metals and other things that we can mine there. I think if we ever terraform Mars, we're going to have to actually redirect comets and water-laden asteroids to Mars, and that's all going to be part of this. So actually having a degree in space mining, that is a big step forward. Do I think any of the students, any of the graduates are going to actually mine in space for a while? No, I don't. But it eventually, if this continues, this could be a center of excellence for this capability, which is a very lucrative capability for the future.
That's cool. That's really neat. And I got to say that definitely the Space Force will love this when, again, as Chris said, they have Bruce Willis up there.
It's all about the Bruce.
It's all about the
And
Bruce.
don't forget Batfleck. He'll be there too.
That's true. That's true.
Because he's Batman.
No, Affleck. No, sorry. I'm done with the Affleck.
Martha, bring her too. I need Martha.
I do want to miss a thing. I definitely want to miss a thing, and that thing is Batman.
Yes, 1998 poll. Yes.
All right. Well, moving on to our extra section here. So this is a very interesting piece of news here coming out of the world of Apple. For those of you who have been looking at getting the iPhone XS or the XS Max, also known as the Tennis and the Tennis Max, last week SP spoke about this, and you might want to just hold off a little bit because there might be a possible bug that could cause all sorts of problems if you like your phone to be charged.
I do enjoy having my phone be charged. It makes it do that phone thing really well.
It does. Apparently, there's a bit of a bug that some people are reporting where with the XS and the XS Max, apparently when you plug it in, there might be a bit of a software bug, maybe related to the USB accessory settings, that is causing the phone not to charge if the lightning cable is plugged in while the device is asleep. This is the problem with this is because most of the time when this is going to happen, it's going to be when your battery is low and you go to sleep because your phone, you just lay it down there next to your bed and it goes to sleep. So apparently many users are reporting this, including tech vlogger Louis Histlinger. We'll go ahead and say that that's how you say it, especially with the weird hesitation there. Definitely has reported this and shown this on YouTube. So if you want to check that out, it's Unbox Therapy, and you can definitely see a bit of an example on that. Personally, I would definitely wait. I know I said that, but I think that it's worth waiting until the next software version comes out because you don't want to wake up, be ready to use your phone or need it, and not have it available.
Guys, you know what this is. It's an elaborate ruse to make you stop using physical plug-in chargers. We all know Apple got rid of the headphone jack and showed great courage. This is their next courageous action. They're going to nerf the lightning port on select phones so people get used to be like, well, this doesn't work. I better use my wireless charger, because the wireless chargers work fine. This is a conspiracy theory uncovered directly on episode 257 of the GonnaGeek.com show. You heard it here first, not InfoWars, not any other conspiracy theorist websites, anything like that. We had it first. Apple's going to have great courage, and they're going to yank the lightning port now because they're going to prove people don't need a lightning port anymore. They'll just charge everything wirelessly, even though it's slower and less efficient.
Yes, absolutely. And by the way, in the chat, Albert Sims has nailed it, and it's, quote, "You're charging it wrong." Yes,
That's
Albert,
true.
That's correct.
I did used to hold it wrong, I've been told. Now, I mean...
Are we talking about the iPhone, or what are we talking about?
It was the iPhone I was referring to. Let's not go down any other paths like that. But these things happen like this. Remember, people lit Google up because they had an issue on the Pixel 2 XL when you upgrade to Android Pie. Select devices would no longer rapid charge when connected to USB 3 power delivery spec'd out power adapter. So there have been problems that other folks have had, and this is a legitimate problem. Now, the real question is, if you take it to an Apple store, are they swapping it out? My guess is they probably are. So if you're lucky to live close to an Apple store where you can go and do that, I would encourage you to do that. But from everything I read online, this is super random. And it could pop up and it could go away randomly. So if you've got one now, keep an eye on it. Make sure you get a wireless charger as a backup, I guess.
Yeah, I think that would be a good call as well. I don't know. This is something that's fairly new, but I think it'd be worth waiting if there is a software problem, or at least waiting to see what comes out of this. Maybe all of a sudden they'll go, yeah, no, it was this user. This user was charging it wrong, and you're set. Next in the extra here, guess what? Google can't keep anything a secret. For those of you who are not familiar with this, that's right. Google is having a bit of a release party, we'll call it. We'll call it a release party. That's what it is. About Google Pixel 3. And apparently there's been a lot of leaks about the Google Pixel 3. Well, they're also rumored to be announcing a new Chromecast, which is pretty much solidified with the fact that a Reddit user actually went and bought an unreleased Chromecast from Best Buy over the weekend. Allegedly, what happened was this new Chromecast was found on the shelves in Best Buy. So when the user went to buy it, it wouldn't bring up in the system because it said it wasn't released yet. So they managed to do their little thing at Best Buy, and they found it in the system, and they go, oh, look, it's the same sale price. So we'll just go ahead and sell it to you as the old generation and figure this out behind the scene, not even realize that they were selling an unreleased product. And then, of course, the Redditor did end up going and posting it on Reddit. So yes, if you check your Best Buys, maybe it's available. And the best part about this is you won't be able to use it because in order to set it up, you have to have a update to your Google Home app, which apparently is not available yet because, of course, it's not available until next week.
Let's be honest, though, as far as product leaks go, this is fairly innocuous because let's be honest, it's a new Chromecast. Who cares? What is it going to do differently? Probably nothing. I can still cast music and videos. Maybe it's more 4K HDR fanciness. Maybe it's got a better Wi-Fi chipset in it, but not as big a deal as the fact that people have been unboxing Pixel 3s for the last month in Russia.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'll say, okay, that's fair, but still, I'll bet you that Google's going to demand a little surveillance camera action, and whoever was responsible, probably some kids' first night in the stockroom, they're going to get fired over this. And I feel bad about that, but you can't be releasing unreleased stuff.
Yeah, it actually is more about Best Buy than it is of Google, because naturally you have to have this stuff in advance, right?
Right.
And I think that Best Buy maybe has made an error by sending it to the actual store this early, because as we record this on October 1st, we're still 8 days away, and Best Buy can get products closer to release day. They can do that a couple days before. I think that Best Buy is going to have to change some processes.
But this isn't unheard of, though, for Best Buy and other merchants. Like, video games and stuff will be in stores and back rooms a week or two beforehand. And most of them, like, go back, I remember years ago, my copy of Halo 2 I bought on launch date had a big sticker on the cellophane that said, "Do not sell before this date." Big bright orange sticker. And the boxes in the back there pulling them out were marked the same way. The same thing holds true for this new hardware release stuff when it's shipped out ahead of time. It's generally packaged in a box that says, "Do not sell before this date. Do not stock before this date." So it's totally an employee issue. And I hope that it was something innocuous as they were told, "Hey, go stock the Chromecasts." And they pulled the wrong box, didn't pay any attention to it and did it. And hopefully it can be used as a learning point, something like that. I hope no one loses their job over it. But yeah, it's an employee screw up. It's a Best Buy screw up. Maybe they'll need to revisit their policies, but this one's not actually Google's fault. Not like the Pixel 3, where I think their poor security in the shipping line is to be held responsible for the fact that we basically know what's coming.
Unless this is in a conspiracy corner sort of thing, a ploy to get actual coverage that these things are coming out. I mean, this could all have been set up too.
I would agree with you if it was another product, but the Chromecast. Let's be honest, the Chromecast is not sexy anymore. We're past the years where Chromecast was this new mind-bending thing where we could write a story on Gonna Geek and somehow it shows up on Google News for 3 days, stuff like that. It's not that exciting anymore because everyone's got devices like this, or they've got Rokus and Fire TVs, Apple TVs, stuff like that. Now, if this was like a Pixel tablet that's rumored to be coming, or the new Pixel book that's coming that got shipped out early, and people were starting to talk and have positive buzz on, then I'd be more inclined to think, ooh, this is a conspiracy theory. They want positive press, similar to the conspiracy theory Steven shared with us a few weeks back on the Pixel 3s.
Yes, I agree, by the way, that that this is just a mess up. And as I said in the chat, the quote is, "I'm surprised that a Best Buy employee screwed up," end quote, said nobody ever. So...
Did I mention that I gave my Chromecast away? I think I did on the podcast. It was a year or two ago. I gave my Chromecast away. Didn't want it.
No, I honestly don't see a lot of reason that Apple users would need a Chromecast, especially when you get things like Roku's. So I can understand why. I find that my Chromecast works really well for my Android ecosystem, so I have value to it. But again, the Roku's aren't really as functional up here as they are in the States. So I can see myself only using a Roku if I was in the States.
My TV has a Chromecast built into it, so I took it and moved it to our guest bedroom so that there's a secondary way for people to watch Netflix.
Well, moving on here into our final extra topic that we've got here. This one is also out of the world of Apple. Apparently on the new Apple XS, whatever you want to call it, XS again. I still don't know. Still don't know which one it is. SP,
As
tell me.
Excess cost. Said nobody.
Said everybody. Oh my gosh. The profit models, the profits on these are just outrageous. But yeah, it's supposed, the official version is XS, but I like what Chris just named it. So forevermore on the Gonna Geek Network, on the Gonna Geek show, it's going to be called XS.
Okay, well, let's try that again then. Next up in the extra news section there, out of the world of Apple, we have another article about the iPhone XS cost. Haha! There we go. That does sound better. Apparently, there's this weird thing going on with the camera where it's almost looking like when you take a selfie, which we should all do, right? By the way, we should all take a selfie, especially for the audio listener. Click. There we go. Selfie taken. I sometimes, when I take that selfie, enjoy adding the beauty filter in Snapchat because let's be honest, all of this could use as much help as it can get.
No joke. That's why I grew a beard, to help.
Yeah. No, the article is that apparently these iPhone XS cost cameras, when they take a selfie, it almost looks like there's a beauty mode attached to it. Now, what we mean by that is people are posting pictures where when they take the selfie, their skin looks all sort of blended together, almost looks like they're wearing makeup. If anybody's ever tried one of these beauty modes, that's generally what it does, is it kind of takes out the imperfections in the skin and really tries to enhance it. And this is what a lot of people who are taking selfies are noticing, including some YouTubers who are saying it looks like they're wearing makeup, and other people who are just saying it looks terrible. Now, Apple hasn't commented on this, but what the going theory on this is that apparently this might be a poor calculation on processing lower light selfies. Because if you've ever taken a low light picture before, generally you'll notice that there's camera grain. So what people are theorizing is what's happening is this processing is trying to remove the grain. In turn, it's blurring the picture. Thus, it's almost looking the same effect as the beauty mode that you see in some of these other apps. In any case, there at the moment doesn't seem like there's a way to shut it off. And I don't like the pictures the way they look. They look fake. I think that they actually don't look very good on the selfie mode. And for certain people, they're just going to go like, this looks ridiculous. It doesn't look like me. So I think that this is something that they're going to have to address. I hope that there's a way to shut that off in the future, because honestly, I really don't think they look good.
I'm with you. I don't like the pictures I've seen of it, but I'm not really known for my selfie taking, so it doesn't matter a ton to me.
Well, you should take more selfies then, and then it will matter a ton to you.
Nobody wants that. Nobody.
Stargate Pioneer, I know you're the one that takes the most selfies out of all of us here. You pretty much selfie us every other hour. What's your thoughts on this?
I played with the XS Max camera, both front and back, over the weekend. It is not my phone, so I had to borrow it for a little bit. And I actually took some amazing pictures, both front camera and back camera, so I didn't run into any of this. I will admit that I don't use Snapchat. I don't use the Snapchat filters. I'd prefer not to know how to use any of that. So I can't say firsthand whether this has worked or not, but I can say the camera has been amazing. We did some comparison with it and the XS Max camera to my 8 Plus camera, and the differences are there. I won't say they're astounding because the 8 Plus camera is pretty good too, but they're pretty good. So I think that anybody who wants a lot of great pictures with their cell phone, I won't say the XS Max is going to be the best cell phone camera out there because the Google has not gone out there yet. The Pixel 3, Pixel 3 XL, and in the Pixel 2 generation, it was labeled as the best camera. So we'll see. But the XS Max is kind of amazing. I did try to get the blur. What is that called? The baskless or whatever it's called, where you blur the background. And unfortunately, it's a software thing, and it's not out yet because it's iOS 12.1 and only 12.0 is out there right now. So I wasn't able to play with that.
I didn't know that, actually.
So here's a suggestion I would have for our listeners, including us on the show. Let's get an idea of what all of your cameras look like, because we all have different cameras. Why don't you tweet yourself a selfie and tell us what camera you have and hashtag it GG selfie. And then we can go back and see how all the different cameras look and figure out, which one looks crappy. And if you've got the iPhone XS, we won't laugh at you too hard for your overly beautified face because of over image processing. How's that sound?
I like it. It's great. It's
There we go.
fantastic. And definitely go ahead, tweet that. And you can go ahead and tag us if you want, but just more importantly, use that hashtag GG selfie.
GG selfie.
And we'll go ahead and take it all out. But try to put in your tweet what phone you're using so that we all know. So make sure to put that in there. And finally, before we move on to Chris Taps That Up, we have congratulations in order. SP, I'll let you do the honor of reading the video sidebar for this subject. Go ahead and kick it off here.
Congrats, Ashley and guest.
That's right. For those of you not familiar with this, there is a very famous podcast that is there's a bit of a connection with the Gonna Geek Network. So the podcast official name, I believe, is The Ashley Hamer Show. Is that the correct name, Chris?
That sounds completely right to me.
Right. Oh, sorry, it's not. It's called Curiosity Daily. And on there, it features Ashley Hamer and Cody Goff. And so anyways, no. So it okay, so the joking aside, Cody listens to the show and I like to bug him and whatnot about that. But no, Cody Goff, the verified Cody Goff, we've had him on the show before. He also has Game Life Balance US on the Gonna Geek Network. He has this podcast that he does as his actual job called Curiosity Daily, and he co-hosts it with a wonderful woman named Ashley Hamer. And they give you all sorts of good nuggets about life, and it's definitely part of my daily routine that I listen to the show. And guess what, even though it's not a Gonna Geek Network show, they actually did win a podcast award yesterday, so congratulations to them. And I just wanted to take a moment to actually play their acceptance speech, because they had recorded an acceptance speech and it was played on the stream yesterday, and there were some video things and whatnot, so I just thought, let's go ahead and give them the honor of a minute and a half on this very show, because I think Cody Goff, he does an excellent job with this show. And so since he's part of the network, I want to just go ahead and say congratulations on this show. So here we go.
Hi, we're so excited that Curiosity Daily won a 2018 podcast award. We are the hosts of the Curiosity Daily. I'm Cody Goff, the executive producer of the podcast.
I'm Ashley Hamer, and I'm the managing editor for Curiosity.com. I'm especially happy we won because the winner effect says that one win leads to even more wins. Anyway, if you like learning, then you will love Curiosity.com.
Just like on our podcast, the whole point of Curiosity.com is to help you get smarter in just a few minutes every day.
Yeah! Did you know learning styles are a myth? But this isn't. We write about the latest developments in science and technology, the surprising things that make you tick, and even cool places around the world that you've probably never heard of. Basically, anything that you're curious about, you can find on Curiosity.com.
I think part of the reason we won this award is because we're trying something pretty different. We put out an episode almost every day. It's always less than 10 minutes long. And we found that a lot of our listeners are actually really interested in listening to us as part of their Amazon Alexa flash briefing. So you can just add us on the flash briefing directory, search for Curiosity Daily from Curiosity.com, and we'll give you a little science update every day. Add it to your daily routine.
You can also find Curiosity Daily anywhere podcasts are found, obviously. And if you love learning, then you should download the Curiosity app. It's a 5-star app for Android and iOS, and we even offer a paid subscription version if you want to remove all of our ads. Just search for Curiosity.
Thank you so much for getting to know us, and we really hope that you listen to Curiosity Daily soon.
Thanks again from all of us at Curiosity.com.
So I just wanted to, again, take a moment to say congratulations, Cody, and Ashley, of course. Kidding aside, though, I know that you both put a lot of work into this show, and I genuinely wanted to say congratulations to both of you. Obviously, I'm saying Cody first because Cody's on the network and everything, but you both do a fantastic job and a lot of really good nuggets. And definitely, it's a fairly new show if you look back on how long they've been around and new to the daily format. And I think it's a good fit for it. So if you are looking for a daily podcast, I cannot recommend more the Curiosity Daily.
Congratulations, guys. Well earned.
Yes, congrats indeed.
Well, moving on, let's go ahead and see what app Chris is going to tap this week.
While you may know Chris loves phones, tablets, and other gadgets, did you know he's also a master tap dancer? It's time for him to combine the two passions in a segment he calls Chris Taps That App.
It's true. I'm so happy I have my dancing shoes back on again for the first time in a while. We're here to tap that app, and we're going to talk about an app that's available on iOS, available on Android, and can also be found on Steam. So what are we talking about? It's a series of games. They're called Lifeline, and there's multiple variants of it by a company called 3 Minute Games. The Lifeline, the first one, was originally written by Dave Justice and published in 2015. So what is it? Do you remember reading and playing with the Choose Your Own Adventure books as a kid?
Yeah, I had the whole gamut of them when they came out. I got them through the scholastic book buy thing and just loved reading them all. I remember there was one that I could be on the Titanic, and I kind of enjoyed that. And you could have either gotten off the Titanic or, I guess, gone down with the ship. And I hated going down with the ship, so I'd always go back and get off the ship.
Yeah, I would also cheat and hold my fingers at certain pages, be like, I need to come back to here.
I wish I had done that, because my Choose My Own Adventure book had two things. It was a successful life or a failure of a life. And the failure of your life had something about podcasting in it. So,
Congrats.
The regrets too. So for those that aren't familiar with what a Choose Your Own Adventure book was, it's exactly what it sounds like. You'd start reading it, and at the bottom of the page, you'd have multiple choices. Like, if you choose to go through the left door, go to page 57. If you choose to sit down and play nothing, go to page 22, and things like that. And you'd continue to play through until eventually you'd either die or you succeed and get out of the book. They were things I grew up playing a lot. So imagine my surprise when I happened upon an Android game called Lifeline that is basically Choose Your Own Adventure in app form. So what are the Lifeline games? They're a series of interactive text adventures with differing themes, including but not limited to sci-fi survival, fantasy adventure, mystery adventure, and detective adventure. There are 8 games in the series right now. I've played through 2 of them, and then I just kind of fell off for a while, but I've picked up a few of the other ones lately. So what do you do in it? When you play the game, you yourself are in a supporting character role to the main character who is making decisions. While we might control the flow of the story, the main characters don't always listen to us when we give them advice, and sometimes they go off on their own and get into hijinks of their own that you have to try and help them out of. Now, you'll communicate with these characters with some kind of communication device. In the sci-fi ones. In the fantasy ones, you might be telepathically communicating. It's pretty cool. And what's really neat about this is that it's kind of real time, for lack of a better term. Is you'll tell someone to do something and he'll be like, okay, I'm going to go hike towards this structure on the moon. And then there's no contact for a while. And you have to wait like 10, 15 minutes. And then you get a notification on your phone. Bloop, hey, so-and-so is reaching out to you. And you pull up the Lifeline app and you can continue the story that way. You can also, on Android at least, from the notification itself, make decisions and tell them what to do. It's pretty cool. Usually in the games, the main character's in some kind of trouble. You have to help them out. They have one true ending with a lot of choices that lead to the main character dying, of course, if you're not careful. But after you find one of the endings, the game unlocks the rewind and fast mode options. This is essential for people like me who grew up cheating at Choose Your Own Adventure books because they didn't like dying. Rewind allows you to rewind backwards to a player-made choice, rewinding the whole game to that point. So you could be like, man, why did I tell him to go down the wishing well? I should have just told him to keep going up the stairs. That way he wouldn't die. You could rewind back to that point and make a different decision and go forward from there. What also unlocks is fast mode. You know how I mentioned the fact that sometimes you're waiting real time for a message to get back to you? Well, once you unlock an ending, you get fast mode, meaning you can just push a button and it skips to the next decision point. But honestly, I think that takes a little bit of the fun and the tension out of these games. Part of what I've enjoyed in some of them is telling them to do something, and then I'm waiting for it. I'm like, oh man, did I screw up? Did I get this kid killed? Oh no, what did I do? It's pretty fun. I really enjoy it. So like I said, there's a real-time waiting system between messages. The main character will write messages and complete activities at a relatively decent human pace. This includes things like walking, driving, sleeping. We'll close communications if something's happening and they need to move on to do something else. The waiting can be anywhere between a minute to 8 hours, depending on what's going on. So you really get kind of immersed in this whole app. So there's 8 different games. I have not played them all, like I said, but which one hooked me? The one that hooked me is actually the very first one in the series. It's called Lifeline. It is a survival story about a person named Taylor trapped on a barren moon. So in 2015, when this came out, it was about the same time I started hearing about The Martian. So I read The Martian and I played this game at the same time. And I was like, oh my God, one guy's stuck on Mars. One guy's stuck on the moon. I've got to help him science the S out of things to get home. And it was super fun. What's the next one I played? It's called Lifeline Silent Night. It's a direct sequel to the first game, and you join back up with Taylor, assuming you got the ending where they lived, and you have to help him. I don't want to tell you what you have to do with it because it spoils part of the first story, but it completely ties into the very first Lifeline story. And then what I need to play is Lifeline Halfway to Infinity, which is a direct sequel to the second game, where you are trapped in the orbit of a strange black hole and have to help Taylor escape yet again. They're really fun, they're really in-depth, and there's 5 other games I haven't gotten to play yet in these advanced choose-your-own-adventures games. What's really fun about this is in 2015 when this game came out, that's about the same time I got my first Android Wear wristwatch. Why do I bring that up? Because what was really cool is when you're playing this game, if your phone's in your pocket, you'd get the notification on screen for a Lifeline thing. You could read the story that was going on, and on your phone, your watch, you could tell them what to do. So you never actually had to pull your phone out to keep playing this game. It would send you the notifications, and you could make a decision on there and send it back to them to help them try and escape from whatever world you're on. So that was pretty cool. I had a little bit of a Dick Tracy moment where I was like, oh, I'm talking to this guy trying to save him, just like Dick Tracy would talk on his wristwatch. I don't know if that still works on some of the newer versions of the game because I've really only played the space fantasy version, the space thriller versions of them. But I would assume it does, and I'm not 100% sure on iOS if it works with the Apple Watch. So if anyone's listening and has tried the Lifeline games and has the Apple Watch or iWatch or whatever the right term is, let me know if that worked for you. Now, after one of the more recent games came out called Lifeline Whiteout 2, 3 Minute Games introduced a new app they called the Lifeline Universe in 2017. It hosted all of the previous Lifeline stories, all of the games basically, and all of the new ones they'd be releasing. It also allowed new installments to be written by established authors and contributors from their author program who have applied and partnered with them. These new stories vary from continuations of the past stories to new stories, but the problem is they're hidden behind microtransactions. In Lifeline Universe has only released on the Google Play Store. It's got about a 3.6 rating, and it's kind of gotten savaged by some of the viewers by saying microtransactions are a pain in the butt and the stories aren't as good this way. I thought about giving it a try. I really wanted to try it out. But when I pulled up the page to Lifeline Universe, Google Play Store told me none of my devices were compatible with it. And I went, what do you mean? I have a Pixel 2 XL. It's running Android Pie. It's the newest version of things. It says on here anything greater than Android version 4 should work. So I can't install the Lifeline Universe app. I can go back and buy all of the old games. They vary in varying prices from about $199 to $299. And I could go back and do that, but I've still got 3 of them I need to finish playing. Eventually I'll go back and get them, but for $2 to $3 each, I get a lot of entertainment out of them. The first Lifeline, when I played it through the first time, it probably took me 4 hours to get through, something like that. And that doesn't include all my waiting time. I had a great time with it. For $2, it's the cost of buying a coffee, basically, if you go to the cafeteria or something like that. And I think I got more enjoyment out of that. So if choose your own adventure games are kind of your jam and you have a lot of fun with them, I'd really suggest you go check out the Lifeline games. Just go to whatever marketplace you're looking, be it the Google Play Store, the Amazon App Store, the iOS App Store, and just write Lifeline, and it should bring up the series of them. I strongly suggest the very first one, which is the story of a person named Taylor you meet who's trapped on a barren moon. It's very sci-fi-ish, and if sci-fi is your jam, you'll really like that. There's also some horror-based ones, there's some thriller ones, there's some fantasy-based ones. Just go through the list of them. I'm sure you'll find one that you really enjoy. Just make sure you don't play a sequel by accident, because there's a few sequels sprinkled in there, and you don't want to play the sequel before you play the original. But again, $2 to $3, I got a lot of enjoyment out of it, and I really enjoyed the gimmick of it working on my watch. That was fun to me. But that's my suggestion. That's the app I've been tapping lately, as I just got back in to the original Lifeline again, so that I can go play Lifeline Silent Night and Lifeline Halfway to Infinity.
So, Chris, if you aren't around when one of these notifications comes in hours later, does the game pause for you, or do you automatically die by not making a decision shortly thereafter?
So in the ones I have played, it is effectively paused until you go back into the game and make a decision, or make a decision from the notification tray. I never had it where if I was in a meeting at work, or if I went to work and I didn't have time to pick it up even during lunch or anything like that, So I made no choice for 12 hours or something like that the person died. I never ran into that into the ones I've played. But again, I've only played like 2 out of the 8 in the series right now.
So can you play as like Stone Phillips and Tom Brokaw and Katie Couric? Because you said
Brokaw.
You said this was the Dateline app. Is that what that was?
Lifeline.
Oh, Lifeline. Oh, sorry. I had a whole other app in mind.
You are this person's lifeline.
You really need to get your hearing checked out, Stephen.
What?
I gotta say that I am surprised I haven't explored more of games like this, because it's right up my alley, right? You know, it's relatively low buy-in, both money-wise and time-wise, right? Like, you know, it's easy, it's straightforward. I got the VR headset a couple years back, and I had great ambitions to use that sort of thing, and I don't, because, you know, it takes a bit of dedication, because I have to go get it and put it on, and, you know, it's not comfortable. Something like this is great. It's right there on your device, ready to go. And I love the watch integration. How cool is that?
The watch integration is really cool. And because of the way they designed it that way, it means you don't actually have to open the app to make those decisions. Literally, at least on Android, from the notification tray, you get the button choices at the bottom of whatever you're reading. So you can literally play it from the notification tray.
That's so cool. Cool.
It's pretty slick. For $1.99, I would say give it a try. I've also been a big proponent of the Google Surveys program that they have for the Google Play Store, which is basically you take surveys with Google and they give you free Google Play credit. I think in the 2 years I've been running, I've gotten like $80 of Google Play Store credit just from answering survey questions that give me 20 cents a pop. And that's an easy way to go and take a flyer on a game you might not be so sure about. Give Lifeline a try. I enjoyed it.
Sweet. Well, thank you very much for sharing that. And hopefully this will get a couple of other people interested in this. And if you actually have experience with something like this, please let us know. Get in touch with us through any of the ways. You can go ahead and you can go to gonnageek.com. You can go ahead and tweet us at gonnageek, or go to facebook.com/gonnageek. The best thing that I can say, though, is go ahead, give us the name as you're tweeting us, your hashtag #GGSelfie. Make sure you do that. And I can report, by the way, there are several tweets up now already. And apparently we are digging up an old hashtag. Last time used was June of 2017. So there you go. Hashtag #GGSelfie was apparently previously used by something else.
Okay, I was going to say, did we use it or did someone else?
Not that I know of. But that is going to take us towards the end of the show. Before we wrap up, let's just go around the table and plug and promote and do whatever we'd like to do. Let's start off with the one and only Stargate Pioneer.
I managed to get on a podcast without even trying to get on a podcast. Matter of fact, just by recording my voice, I somehow ended up on a podcast. What we're talking about is on the Gonna Geek Network, on the Bubble. Josh Liston did an episode on The Expanse. I just happened to be on a call with Josh, and we both ended up recording because our recorders were going automatically through Skype. And then he contacted me afterwards and he said, "Oh, by the way, do you mind if I use this audio?" And I said, "Well, yeah, that's fine, but I'm sorry, I was recording too. Do you want my audio?" And he said, "Yeah." So that launched today. It's on the Bubble, episode number 28. It's about the Save the Expanse campaign, bringing the Expanse from the Skiffy network over to Amazon Prime. They're filming right now, and it's just an awesome story. It's one of the best stories, just the story of how it got saved. It's one of the better stories, in my opinion, of the whole thing. And I love the show too. So yeah, I managed to get on a podcast without trying to get on a podcast.
And by the way, as an FYI, I also was on that same podcast, and so was Michelle. We both were. So there you go. Chris, you were left out. Aw.
That's okay.
If you ran over your guests like I do, where I talked over Michelle, you also would be on there. So that was my little bit there, was I apparently interrupted her.
That's okay. I run over people enough on this show. I don't need to do it somewhere else.
I thought you were going to say, "That's okay. I run over people with my car." I was like, wow, Chris, whoa, Chris the murderer. No answer from Chris. Chris, do you have anything that you would like to plug or promote?
I would like to plug the fact that I am not a murderer, like Steven said.
Good call. Good call indeed.
No, I'd just like to remind folks that we've got a lot of shows here on the Gonna Geek Network, and a lot of them stream live. And if you want to go and watch some of those live shows, you're probably watching the GonnaGeek.com show right now over on Geeks.live. scroll down to the bottom of the page. There's a calendar there that shows all of the live content on geeks.live. So keep a note of that calendar, come back, watch another live show, pop in the chat room and be like, hey, the guys from the Gonna Geek show sent me and said I should check something out. And I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy yourself.
Awesome. And I got two things I'm going to say. Number one, apparently I yell too much. So there you go. Number two, SP knows what that's about. Number two, I want to thank the network. I just want to go ahead and say thank you very much to the Gonna Geek Network. The Gonna Geek Network members know exactly why I'm thanking them. And I got a very nice surprise. And we'll leave it at that. I got a very nice surprise from the network. And I was shocked. I was very surprised. It left me pretty speechless and very humbled. So thank you very much, Gonna Geek Network. The network could not be what it is without you. So thank you everybody who is a part of the network. You all are amazing people and just sticking with the network, us banding together, creating an awesome place for geeks to geek out is what makes the network so awesome. So pat yourselves on the back if you're part of the network. And again, as I said earlier, if you want to be a part of the network, go ahead and head to gonnageek.com/join. And we would love to have you here. We've got a lot of really special people on the network, and I definitely was made to feel special by them. So thank you again, network members. Very, very kind.
Boy, Steven, if a stripogram's all it takes to make you feel special, we can do that more often.
Sweet. Sounds good. But that is going to take us to the end of the show. So for episode number 257 of the official GonnaGeek.com show, I'm Steven John Drew saying congratulations to Cody and Ashley on your podcast award win.
And I'm SP saying congratulations to the verified producer Cody and Ashley Hamer on your podcast award win. It was great.
I'm Chris Farrell. I echo those congratulations and say, hey, if you have suggestions for Tap That App, send them to me on Twitter.
Bye.
Thanks for checking out another episode of the official GonnaGeek.com show. If you like the show, please give us a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts or a thumbs up on YouTube. You can always join us for our live recording sessions, which stream Mondays at 8:45 p.m. Eastern at www.geeks.live. And remember, you can find our full back catalog at gonnageek.com/show. If you're itching for more geeky content, check out other shows on GonnaGeekNetwork.com. Voice work was by Emily Prokop of the Story Behind podcast. That's it for this episode. We hope to see you back again next week.